Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Andrew Destin alongside Logan Bourandas and Jeremy Ganes, and we'll be reviewing the return of Major League Baseball as we pass the halfway point in the season. With no fans at any games this season, I'll turn to you, Jeremy. How have you enjoyed watching the 2020 season from home?
Listen, Andrew, I've loved baseball all my life. I love it for all the great plays, the web gems, the towering home runs, and all the intricacies of the game. But here's the problem. You know, there's been so much difficulty in terms of actually being able to enjoy the game. Of all the major sports, in my opinion, Logan, baseball's done the worst job of making pandemic baseball interesting and a fun product to watch. I find really in the low tension moments, you know, the mundane aspects of baseball, it's just not that fun to watch. Now, obviously, when there's guys in scoring position late in the game and, you know, the game's on the line, of course it's exciting because you're watching for the baseball. But in terms of the game experience and the entertainment value of it, it's just not the same, and I have not been that excited by it.
Yeah. As a baseball fan myself, just taking a look at some of the minor moments in the game, like a home run or a strikeout, it's just hard to replace the fan excitement that you get in a normal MLB game. But even the high-tension moments, like Lucas Giolito's no-hitter, or like a walk-off grand slam, like we saw in the first week of the season from Matt Olson, the excitement that the fans get from that, it's not there, and we found there's really no way to replace it. I mean, cardboard cutouts, they can't really scream as much as thousands and thousands of fans can. It's just not the same, and we found that out the hard way.
The loss of fans isn't the only thing that's changed in Major League Baseball this year. The MLB put some significant rule changes in place for the 2020 season. Pitchers must throw to at least 3 batters, rosters were expanded to 26 players, and doubleheaders have 2 7-inning games. Logan, which of these rule changes has been the most impactful in your eyes?
Yeah, for me, I'm going to have to go with the 3-batter minimum. This was actually put in place before the whole coronavirus thing actually went down. But this actually takes away a significant role in the strategical role of the MLB, and that's the lefty or righty specialists. These guys normally come in and say, hey, you get this guy out, and then we're going to take you out of the game. Now that role's pointless because you have to pitch either the entire inning or get 3 outs before that actually happens. It takes a lot of strategy out from the manager's hands, as you can't really look into the lefty-righty statistics as much as you used to. And I think it just changes so much about how the game is run.
Yeah, the other aspect of that rule change too is now if you're an offense, you can benefit from feasting on a guy who's just coming out and doesn't have it that night. You know, 3 batters, you can do a lot of damage to a guy who just really is not performing well on that given outing. And even say you don't score within those 3 batters before you get that guy out of the game, well, if he loads the bases up or puts the next guy in a situation, you're talking about really getting into a dangerous area for that team because, you know, most relievers do not do well when they come into games with runners on base, and many really struggle in that regard. So that also just creates a whole difficulty and advantage really for the offensive team.
In the shortened season, there have been a lot of teams which have exceeded preseason expectations, and others who haven't lived up to the hype. Jeremy, which teams do you have your eye on?
Yeah, so I think right now, Andrew, the team that's really hot is the LA Dodgers, and this isn't really a surprise. This is a team that we expected to be there at the end of the year. Right now, they are showing that they are the team to beat. Everything's working from their rotation and their bullpen, and that lineup, which we already know is electric, is just hitting lights out, and they're basically free money every day if you're looking who to pick to win.
Yeah, if you take a look at, that's the hottest team in the National League. The hottest team in the American League right now has been the Tampa Bay Rays. Everyone thought it was going to be Dodgers, Yankees going to the World Series, no question. But the Tampa Bay Rays have absolutely dominated this AL East this year, and they've gone 5-1 against those same Yankees this year, including a sweep earlier on in the season. And as much as the Yankees have been hurting offensively, the Rays have been hurting on the pitching staff-wise, and yet they're still top 5 in most of the major pitching categories. And a lot of credit has to go to manager Kevin Cash, who really knows how to work his bullpen, work his starting rotation, despite all the hardships that his team has had to deal with so far this season.
What would be an example of a team that's going nowhere fast in this Major League Baseball season?
Champion of the offseason, to me, was the Cincinnati Reds. Nick Castellanos, Mike Moustakas, both big names that they acquired during the season, and yet the Reds currently sit in last place with a .210 batting average in the entire MLB. Their newcomers, both Castellanos and Moustakas, have both struggled, and their old guys who played very well, like Eugenio Suarez and Joey Votto, who are both stars of the team, both just can't get on base. The only player that actually plays a lot for the Reds that's actually been playing pretty well is Jesse Winker, and he wasn't even supposed to be in the Reds lineup this season because of how stacked the outfield was supposed to be. The pitching staff has kept the Reds in the race right now, but they're currently in fourth place in what was supposed to be a wide-open NL Central, and they're going nowhere fast.
I'll give you another team that also started this really truncated season really hot and now has cooled off massively. The New York Yankees, the flip side of that World Series contender of the Dodgers, who you expected to be there, and they're not doing any bombing as of late as the Bronx Bombers. They're third in the AL East, and they're really not anywhere close to being able to challenge the Rays. And head-to-head, they just can't do anything to that team, and they might have to face them in the playoffs. So if I were to sit here and tell you right now if the Yankees are going to win a World Series or even win the AL pennant, I'd have to say no. They just don't look like the same team we expected them to be. They only just bench Gary Sanchez. Everybody's hurt on that team, and the lineup has cooled off massively. The starting pitching has been okay, but now even the bullpen is starting to struggle, and you have to really also be concerned about Aaron Boone has been managing it. Chapman has not performed. Chad Green has blown every game the Yankees have basically played recently. So just on every level, the Yankees are just struggling, and they don't look like a team that's winning a ring this year.
Well, that will do it for our recap of the 2020 MLB season up to this point in the year. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Penn State Sports Night. For Logan Bourandas and Jeremy Gaines, I'm Andrew Destin, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.